All right. Hey, it's Sam here, and we are in a studio here with the 2024 Ford Mustang, taking a look around. This is the base EcoBoost Mustang Coupe. There's also a GT convertible over here, but we're going to play around with this one here. And we're mainly here to get a look at the interior digital experience. So let's hop inside the car and take a look. So as we saw last fall when the new S650 Mustang, this is the 2024 model, was first unveiled, this one has got a fundamentally new interior concept from prior Mustangs. The traditional double brow grille or double brow dashboard is gone, and it's replaced by a pair of large digital screens. So we've got two large screens, and this is standard on all 2024 Mustangs. This is the S650, which replaces the outgoing S550 generation. We have a 12.4 inch or 12.3 inch instrument cluster display, and for the last several years, Mustangs had a digital instrument cluster display, basically the same size, but this is now encompassed within this large glass panel. So you've got a single sheet of glass encompassing two displays. The cluster is not a touchscreen, but over to the side here we have a 13.2 inch touchscreen display, and this is for the infotainment system, navigation, apps, and everything else. So one of the goals for the Ford design team in rethinking the interior of the new Mustang relative to prior generations was to try to create a car that would be more appealing to a younger audience. As you might guess, as with most traditional performance cars like Corvettes and Camaros and Mustangs and Challengers, the average buyer age has gone up over the years, and eventually those buyers they're going to age out of driving. And so Ford, like every other automaker, is trying to figure out how do you appeal to younger buyers and get them into cars like the Mustang. And so this whole strategy of digital and personalization and customization is a key component of that. Let's start off with with taking a look at the infotainment system here. So down here at the bottom of the center stack, first of all, one thing you'll notice is there are a lot fewer physical controls than there traditionally have been in Mustangs. The rocker switches that we had on the S550 and the center stack here, all gone. The traditional rotary controls and physical controls for climate, also all gone. So what we have basically is we're limited. This particular one that I'm sitting in is an automatic. The GT convertible across the way there is a 6-speed manual. So you can get the 6-speed manual still in every new, at least for 2024 Mustang. And then the rest of the physical controls, again, are more limited. We have this strip of controls down here for enabling and disabling the auto stop start, getting into the My Mustang modes, turning on and off the traction control, hazard lights, favorites button, and getting max defrost down here, as well as, of course, the volume button and the engine stop start. So rotary volume control, at least we maintain that. As far as climate controls go, those are all in the touchscreen interface, and the Sync 4 interface. And they are along the bottom of the screen here. And these actually, despite, while I'm not a fan of having touchscreen controls for something that uses frequently as climate controls, at least what Ford has done is they've hard-coded this so that this strip of controls is always here. It never goes away. No matter what else you have on the screen, the climate controls remain in the same place. So even though you're not going to have the muscle memory of reaching down and twisting for a temperature knob, you're at least going to probably have a little bit of muscle memory. You'll know roughly where the center of the screen is, so you can hit the auto climate control button. You get the temperature controls and heated and ventilated seats, and the direction of where you want the airflow to go. So there's that, and then the other physical controls are here on the steering wheel, where you have the usual 5-way rockers and additional buttons here. On the left, you have your cruise control settings, including adaptive cruise control, and then a mode rocker here that lets you switch between different modes on the instrument cluster. Or rather different driving modes. So this is for your driving modes. This used to be a rocker in the center stack. Now it's up here on the steering wheel. So you can pick your normal mode, custom, slippery, drag strip, track, sport, and back to normal. And one of the things you'll notice, okay, one of the things you'll notice on here with the graphics in the new Mustang is there's a lot of animation. And unlike on past Ford vehicles, where anytime there was an animation involved somewhere, either in the instrument cluster or the infotainment display, those were always hard-coded animations. And they would have to be pre-rendered, loaded into the system. So, for example, if you're in a Mustang Mach-E or an F-150 Lightning with the big 15.5-inch center display, portrait center display, that one, when you hit the settings button on the settings button on the top left of the screen, or the app drawer in the center of at the top of the screen, that the animation that you would see there as it's switching modes is pre-rendered. In this case here, what Ford has done is they've followed the lead of a number of other automakers and started to adopt Unreal Engine as a means for rendering graphics on the screens. And what that does is it allows them to do things like when you're on the center screen here, you can grab the car anywhere and spin it around, get different views of the car. And so the way this is done is the car itself is actually modeled as a 3D model in the system in Unreal Engine, and it's rendered in real time. Now, obviously, doing this sort of real-time 3D rendering takes more graphics horsepower than some traditional infotainment systems would have. Ford won't tell us yet which processor they're using for Sync 4 in here, although they do say that it's the same processing platform, same chips that are in other Sync 4 Ford vehicles. So this is something that they've clearly been using for a couple of years. And obviously, when they initially designed Sync 4, they put in enough processing headroom to be able to handle situations like this, to handle systems like this. And so that's pretty good. And it also helps that Unreal has been pretty well optimized. It runs on a huge array of platforms, from smartphones and tablets to high-end gaming machines, and it's used by a lot of different systems. So within the infotainment system, you have things like track apps, auxiliary gauges, custom mode, my color, cluster theme. Cluster theme is one of the fun ones here. So you can select what you want the instrument cluster to look like. So you've got things like you can set it to match your drive mode automatically. So as you switch drive modes, it will go from normal to slippery. Then the cluster will change a little bit. Or let's see, drag strip mode. Yes, I know the fuel's low because we're in this studio. So drag strip mode, you have this. So when you're using the launch control and drag strip mode, you can get the series of starting lights, just like you would on a real drag strip. The track mode gives you a completely different theme here. So it's a little bit different. So you've got the bar for the tachometer rather than a rotary tachometer. So over here you can select from a variety of different modes. So you've got the normal mode, sport, track, calm, if you just want to relax for your commute home and you don't want too much information overload. Or you can also select a rendering of the old 1987 to 93 Fox body Mustangs, which I had one of those. I had a 1991 Mustang LX5 or 5-liter LX. And I remember that when you turn the headlights on, the gauges were backlit in green, as you see on here. If we switch the lights off, then it switches to white, and that's just like the old Fox body Mustangs were. So that's pretty cool. But that's just kind of it's a fun little thing. It doesn't really add any functionality. Let's look at some of the functional stuff here, though. So track apps. One of the things that we had in the past is things like the track apps, which have been around on Mustang since like the early 2010s, even before S550, going back to the S197s. They started incorporating track apps. I think on the Boss 302 might have been the first one to get these. On those earlier Mustangs, the track apps were selected through the rocker switches on the steering wheel, the 5-way rockers, and that was kind of clumsy. It was a clumsy way to do it because you had limited interaction capability with it. But here, you've got acceleration timers. So if you want to do 0 to 30, 0 to 60, 0 to 100, quarter-mile times, you can select all that here, and then it will. You can select what type of start type you want, where you can just go from brake to accelerator for automatic, and it'll automatically start the timer. You can do it with drag race lights, which will give you the rendered lights on the instrument cluster like you see on a drag strip, and when they go green, that's when you go. Track race lights, that sort of thing. What else here? You can also get braking performance, so it'll record that stuff for you. Lap timer, so for track days, you can preset different tracks and record your lap times in here, which is very handy. There's a line lock here. This particular car, because this is an EcoBoost, it's not the GT, doesn't have all of the features available to it. But let's see. One of the neat little Easter eggs here on track apps, the icon here for the track is a representation of Grattan Speedway, which is in West Michigan. That's a track that the Mustang engineers frequently go to do performance testing, tuning the handling, ride and handling of the Mustang. They've been using Grattan Speedway for a long time. A lot of times in the past, when you may have seen some spy photos of Mustangs being tested with camouflage, a lot of times that was at Grattan Speedway, and so that's what that shows you. There's a little map of Grattan Speedway next to track apps. You can also select auxiliary gauges. So the default is to have 3 auxiliary gauges, and you can select which gauges you want here. You can tap on the settings button, and you can go through and get different gauges. So things like vacuum boost, battery voltage, oil temp, accelerometer, air fuel ratio, etc. You can also go to a 5-gauge layout, so you have a little more information there. And then let's see, go back here to the home screen. On the home screen, again, this is a unique theme to the new Mustang. It's using the same Sync 4 platform that they've had for several years now, but you've got cards for different information. So you've got your media controls, phone in this case, the map for navigation, and one of the things that again is unique to this Mustang is that all of the themes are dark themes. There are no light themes. So if you get into an F-150 or any other recent Ford, typically during the daylight hours, when the headlights are off, you'll have a light colored theme, and then when it gets dark and you turn the headlights on, it switches over to a dark theme. As a performance car, Ford decided that they were going to go with just a dark theme across the board for Mustang. No light themes at all for this one. And let's go back to features here. So under features, again, you've got things here like settings like driver assistance, so you can turn things like the cruise control. You can set it to standard or adaptive cruise control. Speed limit assist, which uses the camera to detect speed limit signs. If the speed limit changes, then you can have it so it'll automatically adjust your cruise control set speed. So if your speed limit goes from 55 to 65 miles an hour, or goes from 70 miles an hour down to 55, it will automatically reset your cruise control. You can cancel it, of course, but it'll do that. Lane keeping assist, you can have the alerts and the aid, where it will use the power steering assist to keep the car centered in the lane. Things like pre-collision assist you can turn on and off. Exit warnings, rear view camera delay, blind spot monitoring, and so on. So you can adjust all of those things. The Sentinel here, you can ignore that. That's something that they're just using in development and testing right now. The software is not finalized. This is going to be going away. My Mustang takes us back to where we were here earlier. So you've got track apps, auxiliary gauges, custom modes. So you can create your own custom drive mode. So for the base drive mode, you can select what you want that to be. If you want it to be the normal mode, or sport, or track, or drag strip, or slippery, and you can make different combinations. So if you want normal, but you want sportier steering feel, you can select that there, or have more comfortable steering feel. And you'll notice that as you change those, the colors and everything, it shows you what's changing graphically. And this is, again, one of the things that you can do with Unreal, that you can do it with other systems, but it's a lot harder. Unreal Engine allows the developers to make modifications to the software much more easily. And because, like other Sync 4 systems, this is set. This has over-the-air update capability for Sync. In the future, it's possible that they could add more features, create different themes, give you the option to download different themes, certainly fix bugs and fix security issues. You can have the auto stop start turned on or off, so you can disable that if you don't like that feature. And then gauges, you can select the gauges. So you can put together a combination of different modes that suits your preferences. Again, we already looked at cluster themes. There's also My Color that lets you select the ambient lighting capabilities within the car. So you can, let's see, that's not actually turned on right now in this car, but you can select from 28 different color combinations for ambient lighting. And let's see, yeah, not available right now. Okay. And then let's see, back here you can, and then under Edit Favorite, you can select which features you want for the Favorites button down here. So it will take you to one of these screens with just a single tap instead of doing multiple taps on the screen. Exhaust mode, as with other Mustangs in recent years, you've got normal, sport, and track mode, and of course the quiet mode. So if you are sneaking in late at night and you don't want to alert the neighbors, or you're leaving early in the morning and you don't want to create too much of a ruckus, you can select the quiet mode, and so the exhaust sound is much more subdued than it would be if you're in sport mode. Let's see, what else have we got here? And then apps. So we've got support for wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You've got your radio. There's also still remains support for Sync App Link, although I'm not sure if anybody actually uses that. There's not many apps that actually work with it. And that is the main highlights of the infotainment system in the 2024 Mustang. As I said, down here, this the switches down here, one of the few switches. When you press this, this whole thing is actually a single button, and the whole thing moves when you press on it. But it does. There's actually separate switches underneath each one of these positions. So when you press on that, it recognizes what you're doing. Down here, you've got a wireless Qi wireless charging pad. as well as USB-A and USB-C charging ports. This particular car has the standard electronic park brake, but of course on the GT you will also have the option of the drift brake handle, which looks like a traditional mechanical park brake, but it's activating the electronic park brake system, which you can use to trigger a drift. And that is most of the highlights. So the rest of it, pretty standard stuff that you'll find in, most modern cars, certainly most modern Fords. So that is the digital experience in the 2024 Mustang Mach, or just standard Mustang, not Mach-E. This is the internal combustion Mustang. Thanks.